Hi everyone, it's Victoria, the Soul Nurturer, here on December 7th, 2020. We are in the final push of this collective rebirthing year. I've talked about this year from the very beginning, especially when we felt the intensity with discovering the virus, inviting everyone to lean into this incredibly powerful and intense and chaotic and challenging and heartbreaking year 2020. As a hypnotherapist, a transformational hypnotherapist, and a soul guide for many years, this is my life's work, using what is for transformation. Never ever have I seen such a year, and none of us have really, right? Using the philosophy of why is this happening for us, not against us, that if we trust and believe in God and the universe unfolding as it is with purpose, and we can look with our spiritual lens, we can gather the gifts and strengths and lessons cultivated through the most challenging of times, right? And that's what 2020 was. No one was immune. Everyone was affected worldwide. So, as we represent the external world with our inner worlds and vice versa, we can look to what's happening in the world and become aware of our own programming, our own mindset, our wounded places, our stuck places, our limiting patterns. So this year came with a lot of lessons. I often do this every December. I offer a sacred soul visioning process with clients. I used to do it in person. Now I have a class online I put together. It was my very first online offering, so it's probably not my best work, but the material is really good. I was still getting used to talking to a camera and imagining talking to my class or my clients, getting a little bit better there. But so it's an online process. I'll put a link in the description box. Sacred Soul Visioning. It helps. The intention was to help us, review our past year and vision for something greater to come in the next year. Well, again, this year, everyone was tapped on their shoulder. Like, okay, time to wake up. I called it the Shake Up and Wake Up year. Many references, just deep, intense, transformational energy, rebirthing. Even for you men, and even for us women who've not birthed, we instinctively get the process of pushing through and having to trust and surrender, right? Talk to any mamas that have had a baby and talk to them about their birthing process. Honestly, this is the energy we needed to lean into this year. Another push, another surrender. And just like birthing a baby into the world, we don't get to say, I'm not going to do this. We're all being moved forward, I believe, for reaching to our highest potential individually and collectively. Now, that's what 2020 was about. Astrologically, it was all about us really, really looking deeper. Healing and transformation isn't a direct line. I intend this and I go directly for it. No, it's more like a spiral. And we go round and round those familiar wounded places and those familiar, the inner territory of our own psyche that we haven't addressed or have addressed, but yet we're seeing it with a deepening awareness, And no matter how much work we do, that inner landscape or terrain, there are still going to be places we're going to stumble. But healing and transformation is that we're able to be with ourselves in a new way. We're able to be hopefully more compassionate, have more, I call it sacred awareness. This is that place I go, or this is that wound, or this is that belief that got so deeply entrenched in my being that's blocked my ability to move forward. So 2020 showed us all those places within ourselves and in the world. It was with Saturn and Jupiter and Capricorn, and then Saturn and Pluto, the big mashup that was all about deep, deep transformation, and Saturn saying, get this right. Learn your lessons, right? That was all year long. And then when Jupiter came in, it was like illuminating it, expanding it, making us see it, couldn't avoid it, couldn't look away, right? And so if we think about how this year went, we could look through how hard it was, how challenging it was, and how, disillusioning it was, or we could look through that higher lens of our spiritual view. What things were in place that were helping us? If we were meant to do deeper inner work, my goodness, being asked to stay home, it's like, please do your inner work, right? Please, take this time out. Look within, so that as we do our inner work and we can see, we couldn't avoid it unless we purposefully went unconscious and distracted ourselves. But even that, I believe anyway, I can't know this to be true for all of you, but I suspect for most of you, you had more vivid dreams, you had more reoccurring situations that were designed to show you aspects of your being, previous choices, your limitations, your patterns, your setup. The foundation, I often say that, we can change our beliefs all day long, but if our foundational beliefs aren't there to support us, we're not going to build on solid ground, and we're going to collapse again. We're going to have more struggle, right? And this is what we saw in the world too, that the foundations of our systems aren't set up in integrity, are they? So we have a lot of work to do still, but this year was intense, and this is the final push. And this is where I like to say, every December of every year for the Sacred Soul Visioning, gather what you learned, think about the strengths you cultivated. This is the time to do it. And there was a lot that we grew through. I mean, there are many ways to think about this too. Have you ever been in a really bad relationship, or a really challenging or maybe even abusive relationship where it was intense? And when you got out, as hard as it was, you realized you were no longer the same person. You were stronger. Perhaps you had more compassion for those who were in similar situations. You had greater, perhaps fortitude of your being. So I'm not saying that this was a bad relationship, but it wasn't a happy, joyful one the whole time, was it? It was intense. So we are almost on the other side of that. Couple more pushes, right? I posted a video. I don't think I did it on this YouTube channel, but it was some friends of mine, and I gathered in the summer for a dancing party around the fire, and they were all younger mamas, and I told them my idea that what we all needed to do for this year was to learn how to do the birthing breathing, which is that more intense focus, staying with ourselves to push this new life forward. And we're still there. We need to be, not just take a breath, but deeply breathe in. Breathe in to possibilities beyond what you're experiencing. Breathe in to the lessons you learned this year, so that in 2021 you can emerge with more purpose and potentiality and more of who you truly are. That's who we're really birthing in, our authentic selves. We're reclaiming that authentic power and purpose and unique expression. So a couple things I just wanted to touch on. I want to make sure I got these in here. So this year was all about accountability, getting real, couldn't avoid yourself, couldn't avoid the problems, and you're not alone. I'm still having to reconcile some things that were not, that maybe I was avoiding and not dealing with directly. So this year was about taking responsibility, doing it differently, setting it up in a more powerful way, and that we are the microcosm of the macrocosm. So as we do this for ourselves, we contribute that to the world, right? Okay, what else? I know I just had to take a few notes here. We've got a lot of big things coming this month. So just think about it this way. Is it as intense as 2021? 2021? No, that's different. I'll get there in a minute. 2020 was. It did offer us so much to review, so many lessons to learn. And I like to say that lessons learned is wisdom earned. So pat yourself on the back. You learned some things, I hope. I'm sure you did. So you gathered some wisdom and cultivated some strengths. You are no longer the same person. Whether you leaned into this full force with doing your inner work or not, you changed. Doing our work and collecting and gathering and learning from what we move through offers transformation. Your choice, your choice. I have a program going right now, an online Zoom meeting called Shelter and Soul Interactive. And I was going to only run that one time, but I had kind of a small turnout, and I love this material, and it's so necessary right now. So I may be offering it again, either the very last week of December or the first week of January. So stay tuned to my Facebook page, Sacred Soul Vision with Victoria Jaswick, or on Instagram, same thing, Sacred Soul Vision with Victoria Jaswick, the Soul Nurturer there. Okay, so as we're rebirthing and pushing through this last bit of December, I want to invite you to move into this reflective time. This is what we're doing in phase 1 of my online program. What did you learn? What areas did you stumble over again and you thought this again? I thought I dealt with this, right? So this time, picking yourself up, taking a look, brushing yourself off. What did you learn? And if you can't quite grasp what did you learn, think of it this way. Ask, where are you stuck? What are you still believing that is limiting you, challenging you? What wounds were revealed? Oh, I'm still feeling this again. What's the opposite of that? What would the opposite of that be? So you want to learn that that's possible and claim that, okay? So as we do this, you might also want to take an inventory of what strengths you had to practice. All of us had to practice adaptability, patience, perhaps, the strength of learning to surrender, the strength of cultivating faith in the darkest of times. Gather your strengths and your lessons, and when you combine them, you have this beautiful puzzle piece that gets placed in, I call it the puzzle pieces of your higher vision. We're always learning and growing something towards purpose, towards our unique purpose, what we're here to contribute. So I am sure that this year offered you many things to practice with, to see differently, and to claim. So how would you describe your personal 2020 experience with 3 words? What would your 3 adjectives be that captured what you experienced, what you grew through, what your unique challenges were perhaps? I asked my group this the other day, and I was so delighted to hear them report at least one place of gratitude. I cultivated joy was one of them, So it's not all like, oh, this terrible lesson and this hard thing. Because where we are most challenged, we find many, many blessings and gifts. So that's what I'm inviting you to do here as we push through this final time of 2020. We've got a few more pushes, and then it's going to lighten up. On December 15th, we have a new moon. I think it's the 15th or the 14th, and it's an eclipse, and it's in Sagittarius. So there's going to be like a lot more fresh perspective. Okay, taking our philosopher self and thinking about more clearly how these are gifts and how now we can go forward with a new perspective. And then on December, I can't wait to get to January, I guess, December 21st. This is a biggie. We are having I'm sure you've heard about this in the news about, from astronomy point of view and from an astrology point of view, it's called the Great Conjunction. The Great Conjunction in Aquarius, which is where Saturn and Jupiter have moved into Aquarius. Yay! They're moving out of Capricorn into Aquarius, which means we're going to now feel a lightness and a more readiness and movement to apply what we've learned in innovative ways. And You know how it felt like kind of like moving through mud this year, 2020? Like you start, stop, or like pushing the gas and then hitting the brake all year long. This is going to be forward motion. And it's going to be more, all the inner work we've done is now going to be reflected out towards serving humanity. How your inner work contributes now to the greater good for all. And that's really important. That's why we've got this last push here. And on December 21st, you're going to feel a shift. But make sure you're prepared with your contribution, because that's what our inner work is for. It's not just for us. And this whole shift, too, is going to be, again, about turning the awareness back out to how can I contribute and help and serve the unfolding of the collective. Everyone else, we're all in this together, right? So take some time to reflect, review with compassion and grace, and shore up for the last few weeks here of December. Do what you need to take care of yourself. I almost said savor. I guess I'm going to say savor. Savor this time. This time will never come again. We're collectively sheltering in place, and for a human perspective reason, we're honoring that we want to keep ourselves and others safe, and we want to put a lid on this virus, and we want to move forward back to this new normal. But from a spiritual perspective, it was an invitation to be present to yourself, to offer yourself what you've always needed, to get to know who you truly are, to dissolve the conditioned self and emerge your authentic self. This time will never come again. So if you can take a day, or an hour here and there to journal, to gather your strengths, look at the lessons, learn from what you just grew through, and ask, how can I apply what I now know, what I grew through towards 2021 and beyond? So thank you for spending some time with me. I actually want to end with just a quick meditation, because I think it's really important to drop in what I just invited you to do, to make that agreement within and take some action, not only for yourself, but for this collective unfolding. So with me, just go ahead and close your eyes and notice your attention, where your attention is. Of course, mine was just directed to the cameras. I'm calling myself back in. And a good way to do that is to breathe right into your heart with willingness. Willingness is one of those key spiritual principles that was needed through 2020, and we're going to need it for the rest of this year. Willingness, and now the other piece, willingness to be present to your inner environment, to your thoughts, to your fear, to those old reoccurring patterns that are stumbling blocks that haven't allowed us to move forward. That Pema Chodron quote, "Nothing goes away until we learn what it is teaching us." Take this time as you breathe into your body, being present and putting your hand over your heart to really reinforce the willingness to be present to self, to what is going on in your inner world. Willing to notice those old patterns and willing to dissolve them and emerge something more empowered and supportive for you, so you can bring your gifts forward and contribute something meaningful, helpful to the collective, to the unfolding, to humanity. So as you breathe in, and I like to imagine this is our inner home, this is where our soul lives, and just noticing and claiming this space for what you need. As you commit to maybe journaling, reviewing 2020, being real, being honest, taking responsibility, and remember this: every moment is an opportunity to begin again. So don't worry how you move through 2020. This moment, choose how you want to move forward. So breathing in 2 more spiritual principles so that can help you with this review. Breathing in trust. We all needed a direct line to trust this year. I want you to imagine, I like to think of the perspective of being in this world, not of this world, and putting on our oxygen mask so we can breathe more deeply into the energy that God provides, the Creator provides, the universe provides, however you connect, but that which comes from our faith. Trust, breathing in trust, breathing in willingness, exhaling the fear, breathing in again trust, exhaling doubt, and whatever else you need. But those are my two: willingness and trust. Oh yes, and surrender. So as you breathe in with the willingness to surrender, let go, and trust as you move through the last weeks of December. Trust that this was all purposeful and that you did receive something very unique and beneficial to the unfolding of your purpose and to the collective highest and greatest good. And in this last bit, as you stay present to yourself and just relax into your breath, I'd like you to imagine or allow an image to form, and trust this, there's no wrong or right with imagery, but allow an image to form or a feeling to form. It's okay if you don't image. That represents 2020 for you personally, what you just moved through. Trust the image. It's like having a waking dream here. Gather the image so we can collect more soulful data, the deeper message we were meant to get or learn or see or witness. I did this morning, and I don't even play golf, but I had an image of being on a golf field, or is that what they're called? I don't know. And there were all these golf balls everywhere scattered, and I was collecting some, and which is symbolic of the strengths and the lessons I'm gathering. And then the final image I saw was more imagery than an image, so whatever comes for you, just trust it. The final image I saw was me placing that ball on the tee, ready to tee off. And I thought, that really touched me. It was soul wisdom telling me that, there's been a lot of scattered energy, but you are now getting ready to start new, to tee off, to hit that shot out in the future. So take one more breath with willingness to just gather whatever came to you through what you heard me say in this video or through this drop into your inner awareness and soul wisdom. And just open your eyes, and if you can, take a couple more minutes and go grab your journal and write down whatever comes. Let it flow so you can see where you have grown, what is still longing to be witnessed and seen and dissolved, so that more can emerge of your authentic self and your possibilities. All right, I hope this time offered you some soul nurturing, some time of reflection, and a good kind of restorative reset. We all need those more and more these days, don't we? Take good care of yourself until I see you next time. As always, I invite you to subscribe to my channel, share this video with your friends, help me get more subscribers because it helps me get out into the public a little bit more and serve a greater amount of people. It's my way of outreaching with what I have in my little toolkit of transformational tools to support others. And comment below. I love reading comments. It helps me know what you're receiving and that you're out there. All right, until next time, take good care, nurture that beautiful soul potential, and see you soon.